Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be enjoying a nice little live stream from the lovely western side of Slovenia all the way up deep into the heart of Switzerland. Today's flight will be taking us on the Antonov An-2, the Anushka, the Anya, depending exactly what version of this. This is a really neat cargo plane designed on the eastern side, actually built here in Ukraine itself, actually not in Ukraine, but Slovenia, up northeast of us in Ukraine. This is a wild plane because it is a very capable cargo plane, it is a very capable agricultural plane, and it does a lot of other really fun things, and it's just such a trip of an airplane to fly. So tickled to actually be able to have one of these in-flight sim, and I really enjoy taking it for a little bit of a jaunt today. So what we're going to be doing today is, like you can see from looking at these lovely mountains here, that we're going to need a plane capable of doing some pretty serious climbing here. So that's one of the reasons why I pulled this one out. Now, natively, of course, if we were to do this realistically, what we'd actually do is we'd take off and actually cycle upwards until we get enough altitude to safely basically clear and head to the north here. But we're just kind of YOLO it, and I hope my engine doesn't overheat, but that's not going to be a problem. Speaking of overheating engine, just while I'm at this, because you know how many times I've made this boo-boo before, let's go make that a little bit more simple for us. We'll leave the rest of it going here. For those of you liking to join us for this evening, we are currently at Lima Juliet Bravo Oscar. This is Bovec. This is a pretty neat little airport. If you go onto their actual website, you will be blown away with just what this region looks like. And there's so many light sport airplanes that are just sort of chilling around this field. It just, I don't know, it just blows me away when you've had a chance to see it. So without further ado, I'll stop chitty-chatting here, and I'll start making our way bounce towards the runway. Let's see here. That's good enough. There's some really fun lights in this thing. All right, that looks pretty good to me. All right, let's do it. Let's make sure our good old-fashioned cow flaps are functioning properly today. And we got those open all the way. We'll probably crunch them down a little bit. There we go. I got a cylinder head temperature of 65 right now, so I think I've got it pretty good. I'm not too nervous about it. Go ahead and close that sucker up. I love how this thing's ancient and the generator actually cuts out on us. So once we get under a certain power, man, this is so old school. I love stuff like this. And I also like the fact that they made our life simpler as far as having the brakes here, so I don't have to fight with that. One of those actions. Now, this is kind of interesting. For those of you who don't know this aircraft, the brake is actually a handle on the back like this. And the actual joystick that I have here, this is one of the gunfighters, is a VKB joystick. I have the exact same style brake. So if you ever wonder in my videos why my braking looks like this, it's because I'm actually using my two fingers right now to control the braking function. One fun thing to do, of course, in this aircraft is if you actually look down here, there is an instrument that tells you how much pressure is being held in the brakes. Those of you who are huge fans of train sims, you recognize that gauge, and basically that's what we're going to be measuring here. Love it. Go ahead and tap the brake there, make sure everything's looking pretty good. Very tempted to open the window. It is a lovely day for us today, but I'm going to leave that alone because it's going to get unbelievably loud for us when I do choose to go ahead and undo things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing airborne, and we'll start heading on out. Now, one more thing I want to do before we go, though. Let's just check something real fast. I like to go ahead and reset that real fast. I'm just going to confirm that this is facing the correct direction. Oh, looks good to me. We're going to have a generator warning there. And I'm not using any ADF or anything. We're just kind of following the mountains. Let's do it. Airborne. Haha, love it. Now, believe it or not, we're not going that way. If we were actually to follow the Alps that way, that would take us over to Switzerland, which, I'm sorry, we're going to Switzerland. It would take us over to Italy, which is an absolutely beautiful country. I have been to Italy. I'm very fortunate. I've not been to Switzerland. I've not been to Slovenia, which is unfortunate because my family has quite a bit of heritage from that particular region of the world. So it's like, one of these days I'll get a chance to kind of see it for myself, so to speak. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to enjoy a nice little gentle climb up here, pick up a little bit of altitude before I make any funky maneuvers. What I'm trying to do is basically get it to the point that when I turn this around, we're somewhat in a position to be able to fly out of this valley. Now you have to imagine all the flight schools operating the light sport aircraft in this valley and just going straight. That's amazing if you think about it. I don't know, I think that's unbelievable. Let's go ahead and get this thing turning nice and gently here. Let's double check to make sure everything's looking pretty good. Awesome. And we'll go take a quick peek at the cylinder head temperature. And we're going to back down the RPM to about 2,000. A little known fact, not no fact, One of the fun things I learned about this plane and flying it in so many different simulators over the years is if you stick to 2,000 RPM, you can't damage the engine. You're just never going to actually hurt it. I'm just pulling the RPM back, and I love the fact that it's almost like the English style sort of gauge here, where it shows it's TR per minute. All right, that's lovely. All right, I like that right there. And now we're going to start powering our way over these mountains off my nose here. Oh my gosh, this is so dangerous. Looking right off my 12 here. We basically need to head all over the side of this mountain right here on my left. I can't power through that mountain, though. I just do not have the power to do it. Of course, as we get higher, we have a supercharger, fortunately, so it's going to help us out just a little bit in this regard. Take a look at the old cylinder head temperature. They're fine. Crack those cowl flaps closed just a little bit. Yeah, it should be fine. I'm not too worried about it. And I would just enjoy the gentle flight. I'm just going to take in the scenery, not going to lie. It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I just could not imagine if I were growing up in this town right down here in Bovec, being able to see that every day and just looking at it and the way the mountains cast the very, very long shadows. It's just, I don't know, overwhelming. I love the fact we get the little rearview mirror here. The one thing we do have, I believe, if I can find... Yeah, we got it. We have the most critical component of any Russian aircraft, or Eastern aircraft, I should say, and that's this little fan right here. Without this, of course, many pilots would choose to eject from the aircraft rather than suffer another hot day. It's just, kind of the nature of the beast, unfortunately. Let's see here. I always forget which one it is. It's not the one. Oh, there it is. And we're good. All right, we are on our way. I don't know why I would keep hearing that. I'll have to check my particular systems. That should not be making that much noise when I'm turning. It's okay, though. Yeah, we're just cruising upwards. The supercharger's already starting to fail us a little bit here. I think we're... Whoa! Don't you dare. I've got plenty of speed on this thing. I shouldn't have any issues with this. Now we have somebody in the chat making a reference to Stained, I believe. Yeah, Scott. Yeah, I can never remember the guy's name. I'm going to get just enough power. I'll start looking out the back window in just a few moments here once I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable. So, fun talk about these fans. There's no protective covering on these. And one of the things, for those of you who are DCS fans, is there's an Mi-24 that also features, I kid you not, the exact same fan here. And one of the reasons I love it is because when you turn it on, if you actually click right in the center of the fan, it stops the fan. Now, if you haven't seen a video of this yet, it's so amusing. And it also, when you click on it, it goes zzz, 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 basically the sound of if I shove my finger into that thing, which cracks me up to no extent. I don't know, I just get a kick out of stuff like that, but I am such a nerd. I'm actually going to go double check that setting. That thing should not be making all that hissing noises. Oh well. Of course, we could do the dangerous thing and shut this valve off right here, but if we do that, then we run the risk of forgetting to turn it back on later. I have not checked my cylinder heads. Oh, they're fine. Let's go close it. I love how everything is electric on this plane. Like, it's not like a... You got to pull like a lever back to close it. It's just hit it. Another fun thing with those fans, too, is one of my favorite aircrafts from X-Plane 10 and 11, to a lesser extent, was the Akoliv 40. And the reason I love those planes is there's a switch to turn on the switch, and there's just something so... I just love that. I mean, for this one, of course, we have our regular old kind of our bus bar right here. We have our ASCs and ASC10s and everything like that. We also have a couple switches down there, but notice we don't have circuit breakers, which on an American aircraft, typically, we usually have the wall of the bus bar, which would be kind of down here on the right, and then in the middle you would have, of course, the switches to turn lights on and off and stuff like that. And it's just, whoa, I'm not losing a wing, don't worry, it's just the turbulence. But it's one of those things where, for these countries, they just have a switch. So this is actually the circuit breaker and the on switch, which, I don't know, I get such a kick out of that. It's just something very, very brute force about, like, if you've ever seen a movie and, like, the hero climbs into the spaceship and the first thing they do is they go click, 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 all the switches, and I push buttons randomly. Yeah, this is exactly what I think of when I think of that. And I love the fact that they tell you right on the bottom of which the acceptable amperage is, AZS 5. I mean, it's like right on there, amps 5. I don't know. I just get a kick out of that. All right, let's level off and get rolling here. I think we have enough altitude. I don't remember. I believe we're in meters here, so I'd have to go double check to see what our actual altitude is. All right, that looks pretty good there. I'm go ahead and close these guys the rest of the way. I don't think I need them anymore. I'll keep an eye on the cylinder head just in case it warms up. They did have a really big bug earlier with the cylinder head temperature where it was way too high when you slowed down. Nope, too much. Humbug. Humbug, I say. Of course, I'm not running in cruise power here. I should probably back the throttle back a little bit. There we go. All right, Jen asks, where am I now? I'm just north and east of Bovec Airfield. It's Lima Juliet Bravo Oscar. It's in western Slovenia. And now we're just going to be passing into Switzerland in just a second. I think we're actually going to hit Italy. Whoa! We're moving. The server we are on is the East USA server. I always fly that one even when I'm on VATSIM. It's just easier. Uh-oh, there's a hawk over there. We're busted. Quick, guys, drive fast. Look at how beautiful this is. This is incredible. Oh my god, somebody actually walks up there? That's a road? Nope, that can't be a road. It's just a path. Got me excited for a second there. All right, let's push that nose down. Alrighty, let's do it. I think, yeah, we're just going to cross in Italy for about 10 seconds. There's another Nushka waiting for us. Nice. Awesome. I absolutely cannot make them out at this distance. They're there. Excellent. So one of the downsides of this plane, and this is how I have to earn my $2.17 of YouTube advertising money here, is there's no automatic pilot. So unfortunately, all my incompetence I can no longer blame on the machine. One of the things I like about the people who built this plane, or designed this plane for the payware, I should say, is they did a really nice job understanding how you have to do trim. Like most aircraft in flight sim, if you hold the trim button for like a millisecond too long, it does 50 trim. This one, it's press and hold on to, and just like the trim gauge just, okay, good enough. And it just makes your life so much simpler. I love that. All right. Looking pretty good. Fortunately, as good as the trim is, we have this new Microsoft Turbulence, and it's challenging. All right, I'm not touching it. Yeah, let's take a look who's with us tonight. All right, we have ourselves Elastic Sack, welcome back. Codifier, welcome back. Dude McDonald, welcome back. Laffarog, welcome back. Simon, welcome back. I know it's late. Video, I forget what this one is. I don't know if they're one of ours. Iris, welcome back. So great to see everybody again. Yeah, it does. I wouldn't recommend a monster cove at these altitudes. I mean, it's only 6,500 feet. Now, one of the fun things is flying in the real world is when I was flying a lot of the Mooney, we would all the time fly at least 6,000 or 7,000 feet. It was just, that's just how you got around in the Moonies. You went stupid high to fly over everything, so you didn't have to deal with, Charlie airspaces, except of course like Boston or New York or something like that. But it was such a great little thing. You just go 7,500. But what they don't tell you, and again, this is something I learned from the real world, which you don't really feel in the sim, getting down from that altitude takes time. And I had a flight recently. I'll actually tell one of my fun flying stories here. Is I wanted to fly up to Lebanon, Lebanon, New Hampshire. Sorry, it's north of us, from where I live right here. Now, I don't live around tall mountains. I have mountains around me, but they're like 600-700 feet. Like a couple hundred meters, kind of a thing. So I fly up to New Hampshire, and you can literally feel when you go from Massachusetts to New Hampshire because the mountains suddenly get huge. Not like that. That's much bigger. But the reality is everything goes from plains and rivers and farms to just mountains everywhere you look. 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 foot mountains all around you on every side. And it was just the most incredible experience of flying through these because we do this in the sim all the time. I don't fly through mountains like this in the real world ever. I just don't live there though. And then I finally had a chance to do some legitimate mountain flying. And one of the fun things there, speed brakes. Ah, no, that's the press to descend button, Butternips. You know how that works. So one of the things is, of course, we go up there, and we're coming in for approaching into Lebanon. I give them a call because there's no wind that day. I could not believe how little wind there was. So you're flying, dodging mountain peaks on both sides. There's electrical wires on both sides. It's just, oh my gosh, this is, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. This is pretty terrifying in the real world. And so we have two runways. You have kind of a west-east runway. We have a north-south runway, and we're coming from the south. We go ahead and say, hey, we're looking for a landing here with Gulf or whatever. And we were on flight following. So expect runway 25. And I'm like, 25, you can't see the runway when you come in to land it because it's blocked by mountains. So you have to get over the mountains and then down into the valley to land at a 25. 36 on the flip side, No problem. So when we got there and we called up tower, they said, yeah, clear to land 3-6. I'm like, nice. So I had a straight in approach. They cleared us to land probably 15 miles out. It was ridiculous. So we came in for a landing, in a very, very nice landing, I might say. It was in a Piper Archer this time, which it's a neat plane, but man, do you get bounced around in that thing. And I land the plane, and they start giving us the world's most complicated, contradictory taxi instructions. For those of you who go look up Kilo Lima Echo Bravo, that's not a complicated airport. I don't know how you can make taxi instructions complicated. So I get there and land, and they immediately say, disregard, hold short runway 25, crossing traffic. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a lasso. This is the first time I've been lassoed ever, landing in hold short. So I went right up to the line. Now, for those of you who drive standard transmission on their cars, you probably know that when you're doing stoplights, you don't really like to stop the car if you can help it, just because like you don't want to have to put it back in first and go. It's the same thing in an airplane. Like you don't really want to have to stop if you don't have to. So, we're crossing over, by the way, we're going to get bounced pretty hard here. In the real world, we would. But basically, we're coming up just steerage is the speed I would call it, trying to not have to hit the brakes. And then they call us and say, cross 25, Paxi, whatever. So the story here doesn't change. Of course, I get there, we get out of the plane, there's it's hard to explain, but in the real world, when you get out of a plane that you've been in for a little while and kind of in the same seating position, there's this characteristic stiffness. When you get out of the car when you've been driving for a while, it's like that, but in a plane, it's like a 3-dimensional pain. It's not just a 2-dimensional pain. You'd know it if you flew planes quite a bit. But anyway, so we get there. And we go inside, and they're like, oh, would you like to get some gas? I'm like, well, we don't really need gas. And, it's an Archer. You got 40 pounds. I got 50 gallons total, and I probably burned 21 to get up there. And I'm like, well, I don't really pay for the gas anyway, so yeah, what's the catch? And like, oh, we'll give you free maple syrup for it. So I'm like, all right, I like that. How much maple syrup you give it? I'm expecting like a little tiny bottle or something. It's like a jug, not like a jug, but like a whiskey bottle kind of size thing of maple syrup is what they give you. And I'm like, this is great. So we took it and then we flew over to, we went west, we went over to Rutland afterwards, which this guy was doing a practice ADF approach. I didn't think those things existed. And we had this really amusing time coming in for a landing because, it was like really hazy, so using carburetor heat. So of course you go to accelerate full power and you forgot to put the carburetor heat off because it's an Archer and you know what I mean if you saw where the handle was. And it's like, what's it doing? And then like, oh, hello, click, oh, hello. So we took back and flew back down. But the story doesn't end there. Again, we flew back, we had some maple syrup, and it was great. We made waffles the next day, and we poured our $150 maple syrup, directly onto the waffles, and it was just a treat. But the best part is I took a picture and sent it to my good friend who flies with Tradewinds now. He flies the PC-12, the Platus, which I believe we're going to be getting one of those pretty soon. So I'm pretty confident I'm going to have to ask him really nicely to help us out with a video on that, because he seems like a nice guy, and I take him out to noodles and stuff from time to time. So just saying. But anyway, so I sent him a picture of this, amazing maple syrup that I got from Lebanon, thinking, whatever. And then, of course, 3 weeks later, he sends me a message. He's like, hey, hey, Phil, it's like, hey, I was just up at Lebanon. You wouldn't believe it, but they give you free maple syrup if you get fuel on the plane. So he has a picture of the maple syrup on his kitchen table, and I have the picture of the exact same maple syrup bottle on my kitchen table. It was one of those moments where you're like, small world. It's just kind of one of those things. And again, things you miss when you're just kind of cruising around. This thing's making pretty good tracks today. I was worried that we weren't going to be able to cross that, but it looks like my math is actually pretty good today. Now, the neat thing here is on our little journey here, we haven't hit the tall stuff. The tall stuff is actually over there. We're getting there, but we definitely haven't hit it yet. I think this is such a beautiful region. I don't know what to do in Switzerland. Like, I know that sounds dumb, but like, what do you do? Like, obviously there's skiing, I would imagine, looking around. I would also probably imagine that there's some other things too. I believe YouTube is glitching. There we go. So, as you could probably imagine, this individual is in the chat now. Oh, you only got 1,000 pounds. See, we only got, what was it? I think we got 17 gallons. Oh yeah, the top speed on this thing in a good day, you might get 120 out of it. Hey, I said An-2. You folks wanted Switzerland, you wanted An-2, you got both. That's funny. Flying's been good, and flying season's about to start. And one thing that you miss out on in the real world, maybe you don't miss it out, or you might not want it, but in these flight sim, you never have to deal with how hot it gets in an airplane. Like, normally, like, you flying in here, maybe you got your fan going for like the authentic kind of like wind through your hair and everything, or maybe it's the winter and it's a little cold and you have a sweater on. You don't understand how hot it will get inside these cockpits. I mean, when it gets to the summer, it could be, say, I don't know, 35 Celsius or something like that. And it's at least that hot in the plane when you're on the ground on the hot tarmac. And then when you finally get the darn thing into the air, it's like you don't get relief until you're like 5,000 or 6,000 feet up. It's just, oh my gosh. And you can feel each 1,000 feet how much cooler or how much warmer it gets. And then I remember one time that I was flying a Warrior. Actually, it was my first cross country on my own. It was so brave. Now I do so many cross countries. It's like, oh my God. It's just like flying the flight sim now. You just go. Don't fight. Don't dance with the wind. That's what I was told. But anyway, so we got up to 5,500 feet was the altitude I calculated for this flight. I'm cruising along. I get up to 5,500 feet. I'm wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt, and it's like, kind of early, late August kind of a thing. And next thing you know, I'm sitting there, and, the door is not very secure, so I'm starting to like shiver a little bit going, uh-oh. And then I'm sitting there debating between, do I turn the heat on? Do I ask for a lower altitude to cruise at? Or do I just kind of suck it up, sort of a thing like that? So, of course, I'm like, this is fine. It's only a half an hour before I get to, Poughkeepsie, New York, which is Dutchess County Regional now is what it's called. I've landed at that airport a few times. But flying that way, of course, are freezing. I finally descend, get down to ground level, but you've been frozen so long, so 72 degrees Fahrenheit feels amazing. So it's just one of those, but then you have to climb back up to get back to Hartford. Ugh, fun times. Of course, this plane, we got the fan going, so we'll be fine. Of course, it's probably, I don't know, what altitude we got here, 7,000 feet? Probably pretty close to 40, 42, something like that. I don't know where the thermometer on this one is, I gotta go look. All right, we need to get some altitude. Believe it or not, the tallest mountain on our journey we haven't actually crossed yet. Whoa! I saw an airplane a couple weeks ago that had a 6.4 in its tail number, and I was like, ah! Because unfortunately, you can't get a number like that in the U.S. You could be something like Joker 6.4 or Clipper 6.4, but you could never just have 6.4 as your number. Let's get a little bit of altitude here, because unfortunately the tallest mountain on our journey today is 9,000 feet. So I'm pushing, how many meters we got here? These M's, whatever these M's are made out of here. We gotta get up, whoa! I look away. Unusual attitude recovery. I gotta get up to about 3,200 meters or so. So I got about 600 meters to go. I'm getting there. Not bad at all. So for those of you who are curious why we missed the last 2 weeks in a row of live streams, is it basically came down to my very, very close mate there, my wife. She had some minor surgery, and recovering is difficult. So that's what that was all about. So it's just I finally was able to kind of break free and kind of taking advantage of it, but still recovering. I appreciate everybody's condolences to that effect. And patience, of course. Could have done this with gliders. It would have taken us 2 hours, but we could have done it. There we go. That's about 8,500. Let me see. How many meters? Yeah, we're getting there. Now, of course, I've been flying the An-225 as well. I just wish the performance on it were better. It's just too choppy for me, and I've got a pretty decent computer. I mean, as you're watching me fly around this, you can see how smooth everything is running. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been good. We have a very interesting video coming out on Monday. Actually, we have 2 interesting videos, in my opinion. Of course, everybody likes different things. Pretty fun one. Yes, she definitely is. But one of the things was we have a video next week coming out that's going to be dealing with flying a reverse ILS. It's kind of fun. And then we have another video coming out later in the week where we fly a dual ADF approach, which is just kind of fun. In case you couldn't tell, I've been playing a lot of IFR stuff lately. It's kind of neat. We definitely are going to do some more VATSIM stuff coming up probably in the next month or so. Schools are winding down for me, both schools, so which is great. My normal work. I had my last day of work for this season today, so that was awesome. And then over the summer, we're looking at a couple different possibilities as far as kind of the fun things we're going to do. I think we need to go back and do some G1000 stuff. We haven't done it in a while. We haven't done a lot of autopilot stuff in a while, and we haven't done a lot of radio stuff in a while. So it definitely might be worthwhile to kind of run through some of those things again. It's kind of what I'm planning, but as always, I'm always interested to hear what folks are interested in. I enjoy making these things if you enjoy watching them, kind of a thing. Oh, you're all having the fun. You're the fast aircraft. Not fair. Not fair. One of the ideas that somebody suggested for a live stream today was actually to do the ATR. That's been an interesting plane. It's not that I'm saying I don't like it or anything like that. I think it's a fine craft, but it's just interesting. It has a lot of design choices that I always enjoy, kind of the interesting compromises people have to make when they design things. And I just feel like there's a lot of that in that plane. Not to say it handles poorly or it's difficult to fly. It's just different. I don't know. I find things like that great. Yes, we'll definitely use some of that coming out again. My G1000 videos, the reason you're probably watching this live stream, that's back from 2020. Believe it or not, I did another one that was updated, and it might be worthwhile going back. The good news is the folks over at Navigraph just integrated their charts into the G3000 and the G5000. So that's probably going to be a video because having charts that you can see in VR are awesome. And it makes your life so much simpler. I don't have to pull out the iPad every single time that I want to go, do something kind of a thing, because they just have it built into the cockpit. Just kind of give it a couple taps. Now, one of the neat things is the X-Plane version of the An-2, you can actually tell your co-pilot to hold the wheel, and he basically says, "Oh God," when you tell him to do it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think somebody spilled a bunch of toxic waste. I think that's the goo from Doom. Like, the green goo that hurts you when you run across it in the original ones, in Doom 1 and Doom 2. I think that's what that is. I'd love to look out the window, but I'm afraid to, look away from the controls. Yes, I'm a little nervous on it. Navigraph, I've hinted at my feelings about Navigraph before. And they've got a really solid product for people who use that kind of stuff all the time. Absolutely. But one of the things I miss, though, is I just buy, nav data once a year, but now it's you gotta have, the monthly piece and everything like that. And all the nav data in Flight Sim is not bad. It's, if I want to do a specific approach, they change altitudes a lot. So, it just wouldn't be there or something like that. Somebody reading all the NASA forums. Trying to see if any other An-2s. Yes, we do. Ours has got an An-2. And we have a helicopter. Nice. Ha! I love that. Alrighty then. So we're hitting about the halfway points. Now we have an interesting, like I said, a current out. Whoa! I'm up to 3,000 meters yet? Yeah, close enough. 2,900 meters should be plenty. Now, if you look off the nose there, that's the mountains, I believe. Yep, we have to get over those in order to get where we're going today. So the upside downside of all of this, of course, is we have to get back down after crossing those. So I think oh my gosh, is it those two or is it those two? I think it's those two. Yeah. Okay, awesome. I think it was slightly those two, I think. I don't know. I got to go read the chart about 50 more times. But anyway, so we have to cross over the top of those mountains there, and then we're going to have to dive back into the valley on the other side. Now, a junior version of me flying a Cessna 172 all the time would say, okay, pull the throttle back, pull the carburetor heat on, point the nose down. I just can't do that anymore. When I fly the Mooney especially, you pop the speed brakes, and you don't touch the throttle until you have to pull it back to flare. That's just how it is. You can't let that engine cool off, which is a bit of a contradiction, though, because when you pull back the throttle to flare, aren't you putting the most thermal stress on the engine you've done the entire flight? I guess the concept is if you're going to thermally stress the engine, you should probably do it when you're close to the ground. So I guess that's the philosophy there. I don't know. That shock cooling stuff blows my mind sometimes. Why they don't just go with water-cooled engines and not have to deal with that, I don't know. Well, I believe that's Rotax's philosophy also. Not bad. Yep. Okay, anyway, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to figure out a way to get down. So I think what's going to happen is, I'm just trying to kind of work out roughly where we are here. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're gonna basically just going to do a really, really tight spiral all the way to the ground. I believe one of the maneuvers, is it commercial or is it, I forget which one it is, has to do a tight spiral descent. So this might be a great opportunity to practice that maneuvering. It's just lovely. I was in a meeting today, and everybody had to share a fact about themselves. And like, oh boy, here we go. So I'm like, I fly planes and do YouTube. It's like, oh, what is it like? I'm like, here's my channel. And they're just like, what? It was so bizarre. I don't know. It's just so weird. It's so surreal to think that I do this. I don't know. It blows my mind once in a while. What the heck? We should have done this in gliders. Although, like I said, it would take us an hour and a half in order to get 20 feet. So maybe not worth it. Then we have to get up to altitude, and then the AI plane would crash into a mountain. I don't know. It would just be rough going, I guarantee. Nope. We need to be back this way. There we go. I look outside more, but I'm afraid because I'm not on autopilot here. There we go. Now, I sort of wish they had a VOR receiver on this. Because that would definitely... I mean, obviously it doesn't. And you have to live with it. It's kind of like the Wilga has the same kind of thing going on. But it'd kind of be nice. It's just fun. It's just fun more than anything. Coming down the pipe, by the way, I was mentioning earlier that we're going to be getting a PC-12 relatively soon, which is a lot of fun. I believe we're getting a new Concorde. I believe that the A2A people are going to be giving us a Comanche 250. That's pretty exciting. A fun story about the A2A, folks, is I used to work at the New England Air Museum. Actually did for 10 years. So if you wonder where I learned how to talk about airplanes, I've probably done 200 tours, at least. I'm talking age ranges from second 2-year-olds all the way up through, folks who are retired airplane mechanic. Like, it's unbelievable, the range of people. I think one of my favorite tour groups ever, and I've said this before, was a group of Coptics who were all Egyptian. And it was, absolutely the coolest, you have to imagine these people in long black robes climbing into a P-47 and going on the machine guns and just being like, okay, it's universal, I've decided. But anyway, one of the things that we saw there was just so many different pieces, and it's just awesome. Oh boy. Lost that thought. That's all good. Right, just kind of keeping just a general eye on everything here. Yes, I would not normally run this engine that hard, but it's digital. Anyway, so upcoming planes, of course. When we were at with the Air Museum, they had, of course, they used to do the flight sim show at the Air Museum. They since then moved it to Vegas or Texas or something like that. But the A2A people were there, including the father and the son, who actually did all the A2A stuff. So they gave me all of the fun dirt. They gave me a little coupon, so I got the real feel or whatever it was called. And one of the things they were talking about was the fact that in order to record the sound of the wind when the window was open, they just drove around their Honda Civic or whatever with the microphone opening and closing the window. So it's kind of one of those things where it's yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know, I love stuff like that. But that'd be exciting. Those folks made a really, really nice Boeing 377 back for FSX, would be the last thing that I flew from them. And I was always super impressed with that. And they had a really nice 172, too, that actually gave you trouble to start. This aircraft will give you trouble to start, by the way. Everybody disappeared. Oh, no, it happened again. No! Niet. Sorry, Simon, I hate to say it, but everybody disappeared. I have no idea why it does that. That is just bizarre. But I can try. Actually, let's experiment. Let's experiment. Let's do this. Just as a theory. Just as a theory. Give me half a second here. Half a second. Let me see what happens. I don't know if that's going to work. It did that to us in Israel also. Oh, we're almost there. Unfortunately, I should have taken a picture when I had the chance. Now I'm kicking myself for not doing that. Best thing about 6.4 is I use it in DCS all the time, so Sheish Shatire. It's very little Russian that I know. Oh, that is awesome. It's just such a beautiful country here. Sorry, I'm just kind of rambling, but one of the fun things with the Mooney is the Bluetooth talks to your phone on the headsets, so you can listen to music or podcasts. That is the most dangerous thing a pilot can do, is listen to a book on tape while you're flying. Just don't do that. You're gonna die, especially if you're listening to something really, really engaging. It's I'm gonna do 3 more runs around the hold, please, because I'm not done this part. I need to see who the murderer was. It's just one of those things. All right, swing over this way just a little bit. I think that's our tallest peak right there. It's about 9,000 feet, I think. It's like 2,800 meters. I forget how it is. Yep, Lima Oscar X-ray Alpha is correct. Now, the neat thing is, I didn't tell anybody this. For those of you who haven't flown this flight yet, Lima Oscar X-ray Alpha is not a big airport, and it's a grass field. And I just love the fact that we're flying through these massive mountains. Like, we could be in the Andes, but the reality is that these are teeny, tiny little runways that you're going to be seeing. So you better be good in your soft field skills, which is another reason why I brought this one, because this plane has no trouble with stuff like that. All right, I think we're just about there, actually. Pretty good flight, pretty good flight. Nothing to complain about. This thing just goes. I absolutely love this plane. Adore it in so many ways. It's so rumbly. It's so brumbly. It's very brute force. It has terrible gas mileage. It can hold your family, your in-laws. It can hold, like, I don't know, then, like, you know, the local second grade class and still take off in, 700 feet, land in 700 feet. Gets a cruise speed about the same as a 172. It's like if a bus had wings. And, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, it's even got the little circular wing. I don't know. I love it. I love it. Such a cool plane. And it's one of those things where I'm glad that they released this, and especially because it's so cheap. Now, if you want to have some fun, you want to blow everybody's ears out. Whoa, whoa! Love it. Alrighty then. Time to start thinking about descent. I haven't flown this part of the flight yet. I only did take off and landing at the 2 spot. Okie dokie then. So where we need to be, I believe, is going to be on the other side of that. Pretty confident it's going to be there. There's another airfield called Lima Oscar Golf Oscar, which is just west of it. So when you're coming into land, don't accidentally get those two confused, because they'll be there. Looks pretty good. Nope. Got to come more this way. One of the things I'm so fascinated with is our very, very short flight today. You can see I started at 1,300 liters. I'm at 1,000 already. This is supposed to have automatic mixture control on it, but it doesn't work that way. I mean, I can fix with the mixture if I want, but it's really not going to make that much of a difference. It's might as well use it. And one of the things I mentioned in my video about this, too, is I love the fact the throttle says G-A-Z on it. That's the funky upside-down L there. That's a G. Yes! Just love that. Alright, we just got to navigate safely to the other side of this. Unfortunately, we're not going to have a good picture here today. So I guess I'm going to have to just kind of take something and hope for the best, so to speak. That's good enough for now. Is this the one that's got the backup one? Yes, it does. Yeah, this is some serious altitude. I would not want to fly in this region with a Cessna 172. That would be terrible. What I have to do is go look up if they ever made a turbocharged version of the Cessna 172. That would be something I'd be curious about. Like, I can't see why they wouldn't do that, but at the same token, it's like, really? Why? I know that there's a glider tow version of the Cessna 172 that's got like 240 horsepower or something like that. Those are supposed to be a lot of fun. Like, talk about getting crushed in your seat when you hit the gas, kind of fun. Those are good times. Look at the size of that valley down here. Oh, an RG. That's neat. I hope it's the older RG, though, not the newer RG. Good call, AB Photos. Hope it's the old one, because the RG is actually a really nice 182. The wheels aren't as strong, but it's nice. It's really, really, really nice. Way, way, way faster than it should be for its power. Of course, it's still a 182, and it's still a minivan, but you can't win them all. Trade-offs, as they say. Look at these valleys. This is incredible. Could you imagine living here? I don't want to know what the snow's like. That's probably the only thing I'm a little scared about by looking at some of this. Oh, sweet. It's a steam gauger. Nice. Much more in line with the one that I fly. Except for the fact it's retractable. Gonk. No, G-R-O-M-K. Grump. That's our radio. All right, there's our valley. We have almost reached our destination. All right. I think we can... There it is, right? See that right there? That's not the airport we want. That's a logo. That's actually the other one. That's just south and west of the field that we're looking for. We'll try to see if I can even find the field I'm looking for, but I gotta lose some altitude here. I'm gonna just push the nose over. And all I gotta do is crack the throttle back a little teeny tiny bit and really slam the cowl flaps closed. Now, one of the things I always made the mistake of with Eastern aircraft is this is in meters a second. So I'm like, oh, 5 meters a second must be 500 feet per minute. No. 3 meters a second is 500 feet per minute. This is closer to 1,000 feet per minute. So this is destructive in the eardrums for sure. 200, I should say. 2 meters per second. Whoa, careful. Man, what a flight. This is beautiful. Look at all the ski slopes and stuff that we can see from here. I'm going to be the guy who has to pave that road. Especially when you get out to like the Himalayas. It's just like unbelievable. Take a look here. Yeah, we're fine. My little fan's been loyally chopping along the entire time. Another thing I love about Eastern aircraft avionics. Love it. It's just so cool. Whoa. I think this is a non-turbulent air. I can go into the yellow range, right? Feel so sorry for our passengers. We're doing almost 6 meters a second now. Sorry. Pull back the gas level a little bit. All right, let's see if we can spot this. So, yep, there's the little hill. So that tells us that we're pretty darn close to what we're looking for. Should be opposite the other side of the hill. So we're going to have to probably do a couple passes to try to identify where it is. Okay, first person to see it wins. I know it's down there. Oh, boy. I hear it getting a little windy. Yeah, we're going pretty fast. This is called playing the... Ah, there it is. Got it. Right there. See it? That's going to be the one that's got that little L. I'm looking right over it. It's right where the little window frame is there. Cool. I will not do a Cirrus approach. This is not a Cirrus. This is a... like I said, this is a school bus. It's a biplane school bus with 1,000 horsepower. Man, I'd feel terrible for the passengers right now. We're getting, 2,000 feet per minute down. Normally what I'd do is probably do a very long spiral. There we go. Fill the power a little bit. Continue making our slow descent. Sorry, I lost it. Buddy, I have no idea why Flight Sim does that. Not like a button I can push. Yeah, look at the descent on this thing. This is incredible. Must be. Yeah, we don't have this problem in the morning. You're absolutely right, AV Photos. We almost never have this problem in the mornings. Always in the evening. We couldn't do the morning I was working. Had a very fun meeting. Not really. Oh, I think my normal approach is going to become a Cirrus approach. All right, let's secure the cabin for landing. Give everybody a heads up that we're doing stuff. Let's see here. It looks pretty good to me. I love just how all the switches here. Oh, I forgot to shut that off. Oh, well. Oh, let's see here. Anti-fire. Oh, what? Who forgot to turn that on? Oh, my gosh. The auto startup on this thing was just wrong. All right, that looks good to me. That looks good to me. ADF. That's pretty good. I don't feel that. Usually, that thing's just going to beep at me when I get low. I'm just going to leave it off for now. Good enough. It's quite a descent. Yeah. So this is the difference between somebody who's flown a little... my early days versus my later days. So if I look out this window right now, and I look down at the airfield... So here comes the challenge. How many feet above that airfield am I right now? Now, just mentally visualize that number for a second here. Like, don't say it out loud. Don't say it in the text. Just think about how high I am right now. How many times can I rotate this plane in a circle and still land the field without touching my power? Now, that's where it gets fun. That's where it gets fun. Reality is, I could probably get around twice, if I had to guess. Oh, cool. There's a little track right there. All right, let's get ready for landing. Double check to make sure everything's ready to go. Whoa. Whoa. We're actually almost ready for flaps. Yes, you would never do this to this poor engine. This engine would snap on you because they were basically not running it at all. All right, look at this. This is so dangerous. Like in the flight sim, you see mountains like this, and you're like, cool. In the real world, if I'm this close, I'm ready to turn the plane around and go home. This is too close for me. Pull the nose up. I'll use something I learned from my early flight sim days. Now, I really hope they fix the bug with the flaps, or I'm about to embarrass myself. So one of the problems was on the previous version of this is when you put the flaps down, it actually increased lift and not drag. So you'd have a situation where when you're coming in for a landing, your aircraft would not slow down. But if you flew the GPS version of this aircraft, you did not have that limitation. So it actually worked a lot better. All right, just take a look real quick. Yeah, 150. I'm basically way too fast. You should be doing about 100 kph right now. We're a bit fast. I love the fact they cut the trees. Look at that. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody gets a gold star for that. Now watch this. This is what I love about this plane. It just runs out of energy. Watch. I love that. Yeah, they fixed it, by the way. That was a lot better than a lot of times when I've landed this thing. I thought it's an electric... Oh, did I just shut the inverter off? I meant the tail wheel lock. That's awesome. Like pressing 6 switches at a time and killing my battery. All right, folks, we have reached our end. This has been a lovely little journey here. Absolutely beautiful terrain. Definitely cool in here. We should really take some... We should have taken F-18s and gone ripping through these valleys or something dangerous like that. I still have an F-104, and that thing's great. There's also the, the CJ-22. It's that one Italian jet. The thing would have been pretty fun, too, to fly around. Just enough power to cycle my engine there. There we go. Beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead to the end. As always, I would like to ask if there's any Q&A, if there's a video. I'm sorry everybody disappeared. I got a picture. I always like to do Q&A, see if there's anything that people are interested in seeing in future videos. Is there something you'd like to see more of, something you'd like to see less of? This is definitely a great opportunity to kind of throw some of those ideas over in the chat. I'm just going to line myself up over this direction, and I'm going to re-enable damage, so you know exactly what I'm going to do. Now, if this were a helicopter, I refuse to damage a helicopter after I've worked so hard to get it. Or if I'm on VATSIM, it's like, yeah, you kind of earned it at that point. All right, let's go cheat here. The nearest body of water is off and to my left. Cool. All right, it is quite calm. Swiss are so efficient and helpful. Awesome. I hear they have very strict speed laws, or traffic laws, or something like that. There we go. How we doing on temps? Fine. I'm going to crash this thing into the nearest lake I find anyway, so. All right, I see no questions, comments, or complaints. This makes me feel a little bit better. All right, let's see here. I think there's something right here. Nice! Believe it or not, there is a float plane version of this. Yes, thank you. I appreciate it, AV Photos. It's great to see you again. I will remember the amazing contribution you made. That was so cool. Very unexpected. Thank you. All right, let's go sneak over. Okay. Listen for it. Nope, it's doing it. No, it's not. Wee-hee! Woo! Glad to hear. All right, folks, have a wonderful night. Great night, everyone. And we'll see you pretty soon. Enjoy.